Hi, I'm Tony, and welcome to my channel, Watch Time LA. Hello ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be reviewing the Wenger Swiss military field watch. Before we get into this, I'm also going to let you know this is also going to be a tale of impulse buying, and probably why impulse buying is not always the best thing. This watch was purchased at Costco when I was running through the store. It caught my eye. I looked at the features, I looked at the price, and I wanted a Swiss Army watch at some point, and I thought the Swiss military watch might serve me just as well. And I ended up purchasing it right there on the spot without trying it on or anything. But I've purchased watches online, so pretty much the same thing. But this really was an impulse buy. I was not looking for a watch. I was getting salmon for dinner. In any case, let's get into this review, and I'll get into the tale and exactly what this watch is and what it isn't. First of all, it's a Wenger Swiss military, not to be confused with a Victronics Swiss Army. There are different logos. The Swiss Army watch is a shield, more of a shield type. This is more of a square type. The backstory, of course, is that Victronics bought out Wenger in its entirety somewhere in 2015. So regardless of whether you buy a Swiss Army or Swiss military watch, at this point you're still buying a Victronics. And it's interesting to note, when I went to go do my research on this particular watch, I could not find the Wenger website. In fact, if you go to Google and type Wenger, Swiss military, Swiss Army, anything like that, you will not find the website. It was only till I looked at the card inside the watch box that I found the website. And it led me to a website in China, and that was wenger.ch, which also switches you over to the Victronics CH website. So anyway, here we go with the review. Typical box. However, when you open it up, I'll have to say, I have to give them this. This faux leather box with the stitching, they paid quite a bit of attention to detail on this box. I have a bunch of Orients. Well, here's the stitching coming off, but I have the couple of Orients and a couple of other watches that are much more expensive than this, and the boxes don't even come close to the presentation of this box, even given that it's faux. And you'll see here that it says, if we can get focused, maybe not, that the box is made in China. And you see the texture on the box. Anyway, open it up, and there's your presentation. Watch is all black, exactly what I was looking for, by the way. And there's your shield. There's the inside. Again, I have a couple of Orients, and this box blows those away. There's some of the features there, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. The rest of the box is also lined in, completely lined top and bottom in this faux leather. Even the pillow that the watch sits on is also in the faux leather, stitched all the way around. And in the bottom of the box, we have the instructions and the warranty card. Now, how I finally found the website is by looking at the back, and you see that there is a Monroe, Connecticut address, and right there, Victronics Swiss Army Incorporated, all rights reserved, although it says Wenger Swiss military. And there is the website, wengerna.com, but the minute you type that in, it switches to wenger.ca, and that's it. And then it goes to the watches. I'm going to give you a view of the website in a little bit. And the reason I'm going to do that is you're going to find out that this watch no longer exists. In fact, when I put this particular model number in Google, it does not come up anywhere. And that particular model number and the MSRP, the model numbers are 1080206, MSRP of 225. There's your Costco, it says Costco item number, but unless it was made specifically for Costco, this is the same exact number that's in the box. This watch does not exist anywhere on the internet that I could find, and it doesn't exist on the Costco website. It doesn't exist on the Wenger or the Victronics website. It simply is not there. I couldn't even find a picture of it. I found a couple of close ones, but I could not find this one specifically. As for the details on this watch, I had to kind of piece it together from different places, from the box, from I actually opened the watch and did some other research, and here's what I come up with. This is a Wenger Swiss military classic field watch, model number 1080206. It has an all stainless steel case, a highly polished bezel, and the rest of the case is brushed. It measures in at, I clocked it in at 42 before. Let me see if I got a true reading here. Yep, about 41, 42 right there. There we go. And I clocked it in at 10 on, of course it's a quartz watch, so it's very thin. Right under 10 millimeters on the thickness. It has an all black dial. The major indices are numbered 1 through 11. The logo is at the top at the 12. They're highly loomed. You can see on the chapter ring on the outside here. It's like a railroad chapter ring with a loomed dot. At each location, we're going to be doing a Lume Shot in a minute. It has a push-in, push-out crown. The crown is actually pretty beefy on this thing, and I measured the crown at 7 millimeters by just under 4 millimeters. And I opened it up to find an ETA 805-122 quartz movement. More about that later. But what really struck my eye when I was at Costco wasn't just that it was a quartz watch, because when I was looking at it, I noticed a couple of things. That the case was really well finished, and it had an AR coated sapphire crystal. You hardly ever see that on a quartz watch like this. Also, I noticed, I had the guy take it out of the case for me. It has a really, really beefy, heavy duty, let's see, 4.5 millimeter leather white stitch band, assigned, there we go, we're going to focus, we have a deeply signed clasp, as well as the band, genuine leather, 20 millimeter, and focus, a very deeply textured and signed crown. The water resistance, although it doesn't say on this watch anywhere, I have determined from inside the box it is 100 meters or 330 feet. The functions are date, hour, minute, and second, and both the sword hands are very highly loomed. The watch weighs in at just over 2 ounces, or 60 grams. The overall length of the band is also pretty substantial. I'm going to measure it from end to end. I don't know if they're going to get it in the camera here, but the total length on the band is 10 inches. So it would fit just about, really just about any wrist. Do some slow motion shots on this. If we can get it in focus there, you can see the case is very nicely polished. We have a screw down back, which I'm going to take off in a minute. And you can clearly see sapphire coated crystal, all stainless steel, 100 meters, Swiss made, water resistant. Now, the whole Swiss made thing, I'm not so sure. I'm kind of thinking this thing was made in China with Swiss parts. Well, here's a number I haven't seen before. 79311C. I'll put that in Google before we're done with this. But what I saw is I couldn't find out anything about the watch or its movement, and that might have been the key right there. But I take my little sticky ball here, unscrew the back. Now this thing was really on there tight. I needed to use a special watch back tool to get this off and had to be very careful not to scratch it. There is the case, solid stainless steel. Let's see what it says in there. Now here's a whole different series of numbers. And it says Rovitina Henex. I have no idea what that means. And then it says China case. And there's another series of numbers that looks like a movement number, but I know for a fact that is not the movement. Anyway, this has a case, a cover over as a spacer. I've never seen this before. Usually it's all wide open and it's a real cheap piece of plastic. This is a little above a cheap piece of plastic. And there you see the movement. It's a no jewel, non-adjusted movement. We're going to take some real good close-ups of this in a little bit. It is definitely a Swiss movement. It's an ETA movement for sure. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute when we take this under really high magnification. And it has a standard 377 Renata watch battery that costs about $1. All right, before I go into the extreme close-ups, I just wanted to give you a couple of shots of what I found on the internet here. You'll see that the Wenger website goes to the .ch suffix, which is China, and you see here where it says Victronics AG China. And the watch brand is obviously the same, so I finally found the right website. Again, Googling it, impossible to find. And it looks like they've completely abandoned this whole Swiss military thing. Maybe Victronics decided they were going to stick with that, but they went to, it looks like here, a fashion watch company. You see the names of these things going by: City Classic, the Attitude, the Urban Classic, the Urban Chrono, the C-Force, the Roadster, took that out of the Harley playbook, the Urban Metropolitan, and the Urban Metropolitan Chrono. So that's it for men's watches. You saw them all. There are no military field watches on the website whatsoever. Okay, so now we're inside the watch. I got the back off and we're looking at the movement. And it's fairly obvious. It says right here, Swiss, and it's really hard to read this. I had to turn it upside down and backwards, but that is the movement number. In fact, when I looked at the movement number, I put the movement number into Google, and sure enough, it came up. This is a place, by the way, where I buy some watch parts when I'm repairing watches. It's called Esslinger.com. I've done business with them. They're very easy to do business with. They're good people. There's another company called AllWatchParts.com. They're kind of compete with each other. Esslinger is much more organized than AllWatchParts.com. They have a much better website, but you pay a premium here. But here's a good example of the ETA movement. This is the exact same movement that's in the watch. It looks identical to this. It's $16.95. So if this watch went bad, of course you'd have to take the hands off and know how to do all that without ruining the hands and everything and the dial. But you can repair the watch basically for $16.95. Now back into the back of this watch, and you got to excuse the glare, and hopefully you can see that that is an ETA movement. Try and get a better shot at that. It has no, and they go one step further, 0 joules. It says it has a battery, 377, which is the most common watch battery in the world. You can get them, depending on where you get them, as low as about, if you get the alkalines, you can probably get them for about 10 cents. And if you get these here, the Renatas, you can get them anywhere between 25 cents and $1. But if you go to Radio Shack, you'll pay 10 bucks for that battery. And the rest of it is pretty unassuming. There's really nothing in here. You know, there's your crown, the stem. You know, this is a little bit better than the Miyota Japanese movements. It's obviously much, well, it's obviously better made. It looks more quality. But still, I can get a Seiko movement for about 10 bucks. These are about 17 bucks, so not a huge difference. But if you want that Swiss made, you have to have one of these. All right, so here we are on the inside of the watch, looking at the hands very closely. There's your sword hands with the pointers. And you can see it looks like the lume spilled over from the back and is all over the side of the hand here. Not on this side, but on this side. There's no question that is a assembly problem, the way the lume was applied. You can't see that with the naked eye, but it's really obvious here. Take a look at some of the indices. They are painted on. I didn't think they were, but they are. They don't look applied. I just want to verify that. This has some sort of 3D effect, so maybe that the dots are. I'm not really sure. I'd have to say that the dots are definitely applied. These are painted on lume. There's your date window. Painted on around here, painted in there. The date's not so bad, actually. Seen a couple of, like, I keep picking on the Orient, where you see a lot of bleed here. And of course, Swiss made, what everybody wants to see. Look, if you hate quartz watches, you hate all quartz watches, but I don't have a problem with quartz watches. I've mentioned it many times, and I'll continue to mention it. It's nice throwing on a watch when you have a bunch of different watches, and you don't have to set the time and the date. You don't have a, you know, who's gonna own a room full of watch winders? Obviously that logo is applied. And it looks like it's kind of sloppy. It looks crisp and clear to the naked eye, but you can see that's actually pretty sloppy. It's painted over paint. Let's take a look at the case. Now please allow for dust. There's no way I can get this perfectly clean. I'm trying to clean it again here. And I've worn this watch many times, by the way. It's one of my go-to tool watches. I really like it. The band is really heavy-duty rugged. And it's also, for a rugged heavy-duty band, boy is it comfortable. There's the case. It's very nicely finished. Extremely nicely, as nice as any expensive-ended Seiko, or even, heck, even my Bulova. It's nicely finished. Now what you're seeing here probably is dust. Let me make sure. So there's not much else to do here on the close-ups. What you're seeing there, I'm assuming, is not on the dial. Oh boy, maybe it is. So it looks like we might have a couple of little imperfections either in the dial or under the dial. I mean, under the crystal. See what happens when you put your watch under high magnification, you find all kinds of problems. And finally, I'll end this series of shots with the Wenger Swiss military logo. And here is a Lume Shot. Very crisp, very clear, very easy to read. We'll see how close we can get here. So for me, this watch is the absolute like home run perfect size. Maximum 42 millimeters for me is just right at the edge of my comfort zone. It fits great. It sits very close on the wrist. The band is thick as can be, probably one of the thickest bands I have, and it's super soft and supple. I mean, really, really soft. I like it. I like throwing this watch on with a pair of jeans and just about anything. I wear a lot of dark t-shirts, and this is the perfect complement for anything. Never have to worry about it. I mean, I'm not one that spends a lot of time matching things anyway. So this became my perfect tool watch. You know, I have a Seiko 5 and a couple of other ones that I consider tool watches, and I also have a $2 tool watch that I found in a pile of watches that it's an old, I forget the make of it now. But anyway, a lot of different tool watches in my collection, but this has became one of my favorites. And I'll tell you what I paid for it. It was at Costco. Obviously the retail was $225. I paid $123 for it. So probably a little more than it's really worth, knowing the history that I do now. But really, when you think about it, it's all stainless steel. It looks like high-grade stainless steel. It's highly polished on the bezel. It's a Swiss quartz movement. You know, say what you will about quartz movements. It's the ET8 quartz movement. And it has a sapphire AR coated crystal. I have two Orients that do not have that. In fact, they were, one of them was considerably more. So I think it's right, the price point's right about right. I hate to see that they went to and became a luxury, a fashion watch company. But I'm glad I got one of the last ones. I don't know how many people are gonna be looking for this particular watch or this video, but I'll put a couple of subject lines there to hopefully get a couple of hits. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed what I'm doing here. I hope you enjoy the close-ups, the fact that I take them apart. If you do enjoy what I'm doing, please comment down below. Please like down below. And of course, anyone who's starting a new channel, what we need more than anything else is subscribers. So please subscribe. If you're a watch nut, tell your friends. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.